Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, Blind to Billionaire. This is our third live stream. We're excited to have you. We decided to start a live stream here a little bit later in the evening, hopefully so that we can reach out to some of our people from maybe like India, where we know we have a lot of followers, and Kuwait, and maybe some Europeans if you're up early.
And people from California.
California too, yeah, it's still pretty early out there. So we're excited to have you here on this third ever live stream on the Blind to Billionaire YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be talking about what is it like to go through school as a person who is visually impaired, blind, or with low vision. So I will recall my experience going through school for basically as far back as I can remember, and kind of just walk through it and just give you some of my experiences from my days in school. So I will start, like I said, I'll start as far back as I can remember. And I would say I don't remember much of middle school, or not middle school, elementary school, I apologize. I don't remember a whole lot of elementary school. I remember some of it, but nothing that really stands out. I guess before I start on this, I'll say that I lived a pretty normal life. Like my vision was pretty good, I would say, until I was like mid to late-ish 20s, until I was roughly like 26, 27, around there. That's when I noticed that my vision started to get bad pretty rapidly. But up until then, I would say my vision was pretty good, especially from up until I was about 20 to 21. My vision was, pretty good.
I'm going to cut in. We have Marwan and Arbrins Wallace.
Hey, Arbrins Wallace. Nice to see you here. First time. Marwan, always. Thank you for joining us. Great to see you again, too.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
We're really glad that you're both able to be here.
Yeah. So I forgot to mention earlier, but Corey is obviously sitting here with me, and she's going to be checking out who joins us here for the live stream and who is commenting. So she's going to read the comments. She'll stop in and interrupt every so often to read some comments to me. So, yeah.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but
no, that's okay.
We're gonna do it because it's fun to get to talk to people.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So, like I said, I would say my life was pretty normal and my vision was pretty good until I was 20, 21-ish, and then I would say it kind of slowly depleted until like 26, 27, and then I would say it rapidly depleted from 27 to current. So that's just how I want to preface this whole story. So thinking back on schooling for me, like I said, elementary school, I don't remember too much of it at all. Anything that's too notable anyway. So then I'll fast forward to middle school. So those are grades 6 through 8. And again, it was pretty normal for me. The difference is one thing that really made me stand out from the rest of the kids was when we would go outside during like recess or during Phy Ed class, we would go out and maybe play some kind of game that involved a ball, like throwing a ball around. And I was never able to participate. So the thing about it was, that was prior to the diagnosis of RP. So we didn't really know anything that was going on with me. We knew that something wasn't right, but we didn't know like what was going on. We just figured that maybe I didn't have a whole lot of talent, or maybe I didn't have very good eye-hand coordination, or we just didn't know. We knew that I couldn't see, I couldn't follow the ball all of the time. So I would participate in the sports, but I would purposely make myself inconvenient to get the ball like passed to me. So for example, let's say we were playing some kind of game that involved throwing a ball back and forth. I would literally stand by a team member of the opposing team so that people on my team would purposely not throw the ball to me. Like I would follow this other player around as if like I was supposed to be tracking that person, but really I was doing it because I didn't want the ball to be passed to me. And so that was my way of kind of avoiding playing the game, because I didn't know how to approach the teacher and say, hey, I can't see the ball all the time.
I'm going to cut in and say, hi, Sabrina.
Hey, Sabrina. Nice to see you.
She said that it's 5 a.m. So
Wow.
she wanted to get more sleep, but she wanted to be part of this. And so we appreciate so much you being here. This is
Yeah, very cool.
awesome for you to be part of our live feed. And Arburns Wallace also said that today he went ice skating for a challenge,
Very
which would
cool.
be quite a challenge. So I think that's
That's pretty
awesome.
cool. Hey, Arborn's Wells, I actually just saw your video on YouTube, so pretty cool. I listened to it anyway. But yeah, I noticed that. Pretty cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's
So,
cool.
yeah.
So I just
So,
wanted to cut in.
sure. So yeah, anyway, I would just make myself inconvenient to pass the ball to me. And that's how I got through middle school with all of the games and events and things throughout the school year because I didn't know what to do. So I would, just play the game, but I actually wouldn't play. One other thing that I did is when we would go outside during recess or for any time throughout the day, and we'd have to walk back into the school, what I would do, and I did this for a lot of years after that even, is when we would be walking back to the school, my eyes take so long to adjust from the brightness of being outside. Once I walked inside the school, I wouldn't be able to see anything because it was so bright outside and then kind of darkish inside the school. So what I would do is when we'd be walking from the field back to the school, which was probably like a 3 or 4 minute walk, I would kind of close my eyes and squint as much as I possibly could, and I would only have my eyes open as much as I needed to just to see where I was going. But I would do that so that I was kind of adjusting my eyes prematurely so that when I walked into this school, I could actually see a little bit. Otherwise, if I just walked in from outside, I couldn't see anything for literally like 5 minutes. So that's kind of how I got through middle school. As far as like seeing the board and reading books and reading papers and taking tests like that, everything was fine there. I could see the board, I could read books, everything was fine. Um, as far as in the actual classroom, things like that. Working on a computer was also slow for me. I've never been able to watch the mouse. I'm very slow on a computer because I have to watch the mouse very closely and I move it very slow. But other than those few things, that's kind of how middle school was for me. So, any comments or anything that we should?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that's kind of what I was thinking you'd say.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so then on to high school. So high school was again, somewhat similar to middle school, whereas again, I didn't know much about what was going on, but I was diagnosed with RP when I was 15. So it was actually on my 15th birthday, and that was my freshman year of high school. So we actually knew what was going on. All these years leading up to it, we knew that, my vision, something wasn't right. So finally, after maybe a year or two of trying to figure out what was going on, we finally saw a retina specialist and got the RP diagnosis. So then we had something to work with. It didn't really change anything at the time, but at least we had something to work with and we knew, what was going on. And there's actually a reason for why I wasn't able to see everything. So,
One thing I want to cut
yeah.
in with, and it's not on here, but just so that to preface, it was in about 2000. So this, right?
Yeah.
Like the year 2000. So that just so people have like a
Yeah.
reference point. So if your kids are in school, oh,
Mhm.
it's 4 a.m. in the UK, and
Oh,
you're
wow.
loving listening to live video. Awesome! Like,
This is
yay!
cool. Yep.
But I think it's valuable to say that this was in about
Yep.
2000.
Yep.
So obviously, it's 18 years later. The systems have changed. So anything that
Exactly.
he's saying is from that time, and
Mhm.
chronologically later as we get forward more.
Mhm.
And we live in the United States in Minnesota. So I think that those are also kind of valuable things, like as you go forward.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
to kind of have a time frame idea. So if your kids are going through this,
Mhm.
it could be different in terms of how the school system handles things.
Yeah,
But we just wanted, I think that's a good thing to bring up.
exactly. Yep. So,
So you got diagnosed.
yeah, so I got diagnosed freshman year, and so then we had something to work with. I would say high school was pretty similar to middle school, except for the high school had a lot more kids in it. I think there were maybe around like 3,000 kids in the school total. That might be a little bit high, maybe like 2,000 kids total in the whole school. So the halls were packed. During passing time between classes, the halls were pretty full. And I would bump into people here and there, walking through the hall, hit shoulders, and I noticed little things like that coming up. And um, again, anytime that we'd be playing some kind of sport in one of the classes, I would purposely not play. And then when I got to maybe, I think it was probably like my junior year, I finally went and talked to the teacher of the class and said, "Hey, I can't see the ball. Like, I can't play this game because I can't see the ball." And that guy, being as ignorant as he was, he said, we were actually playing with a yellow ball, and he held up a yellow one and said, "Well, what color can you see? Tell me what color you can see, and we'll use that ball instead." And I kind of explained like, "Hey, it doesn't matter the color. I just can't see the ball." So anyway, I ended up still playing, but I kind of just stood off to the side and didn't really do anything. So
I think another thing that because we've talked about this a lot, is that it was hard for you as a younger person, and still is today, to describe what you could see.
yeah,
So like for like the gym phy ed teacher, or for anyone really, you couldn't really tell them what you needed in some ways,
Yeah.
because you didn't know like no one can describe their own it's really hard to describe your vision because you just only know what you can see.
exactly.
Do you think that's a valuable
I would say so,
point?
yeah. I still have a hard time explaining what I can and can't see now.
But especially when you're like a 15-year-old,
Yeah.
and you like don't have a clue what's going on with your vision, because
Yeah.
and no one knows what retinitis pigmentosa is.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, that doesn't help, because it's like you can see.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is one of the reasons why
Yeah.
it was hard, like for your phy ed teacher.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have a clue,
Yeah.
you know.
So, yeah. And as far as in the classroom, I had a harder time seeing like the board. Um, it was very important for the teacher to use dark markers, like if it was on a whiteboard, they'd need to use black markers because I wasn't able to see the green and the red. I mean, I could see it vaguely, but I wasn't able to really make out what they were writing. It would need to be something with higher contrast, so black marker, whiteboard. And so that was important to me. So I actually talked to some of the teachers, and they would do their best for a little while, a couple of weeks, until they kind of, forgot about it again and grabbed the red and green markers again. So that was, some of the experience in the classroom. As far as taking tests and reading books, things like that, everything was fine for most of the years. Maybe toward my senior year, it maybe got a little bit more difficult. I noticed that my reading speed definitely declined. I was able to read quite a bit faster when I was younger, but as my vision was, as I was getting more tunnel vision, I noticed that my reading speed definitely declined. So, so yeah, and again, still working on computers was still difficult for me, but
When you
Yeah.
were in school, were you getting any help from the school because of your low vision? Like, were you like a person with a diagnosis who they helped
yes.
somewhat, or how did that work?
So
Because I think that might be helpful for people who are in the situation.
exactly. So they did have some kind of services or something. I don't know if it was someone through the school or somebody else through a different organization that would actually come and pull me out of class every so often. And we'd maybe go outside and look at a variety of different glasses or assistive devices, not necessarily technology, but just like magnification tools. Back then, it was literally like there was like a magnifier that was maybe like 4-inch diameter, or maybe like, I don't know, 10 centimeters. Is that about 10?
I think 4 inches is 10 centimeters.
Yeah, roughly. So it was like literally like a magnifying glass thing that I would hold on the table. That was way before all this technology that we have now. So we'd go through all these different devices and things like that. And I met with this person, but I was also very resistant to meet with him. And the reason is because, in high school, you want to be a cool kid, you want to be a popular kid, or at least I wanted to be. And it's never cool to be.
You weren't that cool, though.
Well, not really, but I am now.
He's so cool now.
Yeah. So I did meet with this person, although I was resistant to being pulled out of class and meeting with him, because I never wanted to be that kid that got pulled out of class so that we could go stand outside and look at these big orange sunglasses because they helped me see, 5% better in sunlight or something. I don't know. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. So the services were available at the time, but like I said, I wasn't very accommodating to them.
And he just went to a public school,
Yeah, public
not a
school.
special blind school.
Yeah,
I mean, that they have, because yeah, just went to regular public school.
yeah, public schools.
And also, Sabrina commented a little bit ago
Sure.
that she's enjoying the live stream. So I hope that's still happening. 3 minutes later, I hope you still agree with that statement, and that you're excited to come up with like tips for tips on things that work,
Yeah.
kind of back and forth for you and for her, and just kind of helping each other with our experiences. Marwin said the problem maybe before YouTube or Facebook, nobody heard about RP and understood it. I actually think that is probably really accurate. Because, like, even them bringing a magnifying glass out to Matt,
Yeah.
and I don't know everything about RP, but I think in most situations with people with RP without another vision issue, the issue isn't that you can't see. The magnification isn't a thing that really
Right.
helps.
Yeah.
Is that accurate? I mean,
That's accurate.
it's your vision is smaller, so it's
Yeah.
like if something's bigger, then it's like, awesome, now I can just see the A in my tiny field of vision
Right.
versus the word cat or something like that.
Right. So what
But
I
no
actually
one knew.
found, yeah, in the years that I was actually reading, text without any kind of magnification or color inversion or anything like that, I actually found that the best situation, the best scenario for me to read was actually probably about 12-point font that was bold. So that was the best for me, and it worked perfectly for me for a long time, and it was fine. I didn't need anything magnified. In fact, magnification for me back then was actually worse, and the reason for that is, like my visual field was small, so that anything that was big, it actually made it harder. So I actually found that it was easier to make the text more small and condensed, and then I could actually fit more into my visual field. So it actually made it easier for me to read at a more normal speed. So yeah, I think that's, some of the experiences that I was dealing with. So then as far as, lunchtime at school, I had a group of friends that I hung around with at school. And the part that made it awkward was, so, there's a big cafeteria at the school, and there were multiple different lines, but then there were, tons of tables that we could sit at. Well, the friends, would sit roughly in the same area every day. And me being with, the narrow visual field, I can't like scan a room quickly and see who's all there, but rather, I kind of slowly scan a room because I have to like focus on every face that I see. So I would walk through the line, get my tray of food or whatever, and then I'd kind of look through the table where we
Blue Tech is here.
Oh,
Sam,
hey Sam.
hi.
Hey Sam, nice to see you.
This
Thanks
is
for joining
awesome.
us.
We're so happy to have you.
Yeah.
And also, Arbenz Wallace said that there's so much more technology out there now, and there's so many different things that are coming out that people are coping. And with so little technology, when you were growing up as a kid, he just wrote. I mean, it was so different.
Yeah.
And actually,
Very
it would be
different.
really interesting. I don't know, the differences in the different countries. So, like in the UK. I mean, with the internet now, we kind of know sort of what other people are dealing with. But
Yeah.
at the same time, maybe when you were a kid, I don't know. And I don't think Arbenz Wallace had vision loss when he was a kid. But it's interesting to see what other countries how we all are adapting to. So I just wanted to say hi to Sam.
Yeah, hey Sam.
Read Arbenz Wallace's comment.
Yeah, very
Okay.
could
So sorry to keep interrupting.
So yeah, anyway, just real quick from the cafeteria. So I would look around, and because of the narrow visual field, I wouldn't see, I wouldn't say typically, there was occasionally I wouldn't see my friends. So then I'd just go off and sit by myself. So for me, that was a little bit difficult because, like I said earlier, being in high school, I feel like that's a vulnerable age, like a vulnerable time in a person's life to kind of establish who the person is. And for me, it was kind of like, well, here I am sitting in a cafeteria with like 1,000 kids around, and I'm sitting by myself.
That's actually really sad.
Because I couldn't find my friends. And, they weren't the type of kids that would actually come up and sit by me. Like, they wouldn't get up from where they were and come and find me. They would just, continue doing what they were doing. So.
And I bet you didn't tell them anything really about your vision loss.
No, they actually just thought I was, I don't know. I've had many people think that I'm like stuck up or arrogant or something, and that I'm too cool to sit by them or talk to them or shake their hand or something like that. But that's actually not the case. I just simply don't see it. So I think that was maybe the case sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as the years went on, they realized that my vision actually was getting worse, and they maybe understood a little bit more over time, but who knows? Probably not.
It's hard to say.
Yeah. So anyway, I would say that's mostly my experience with high school. In a couple of my classes, there were a teacher or two that would kind of single me out and maybe say mean comments or do something really embarrassing. Like there was one time in my English class, we were reading a book and I could read the book just fine, but the teacher felt the need to print the chapter out in like 28-point font and then like throw it on my desk in front of the whole class. So that was really embarrassing, and I don't think I ever went back to her class. I was so bothered by that situation. I purposely failed her class so that I never had to go back to it. And then I actually made the class up after school doing a different program because I was just so disturbed by that whole situation. Do you have something
Sabrina
to say?
also commented that she was bullied because she stuttered. Sam wrote something that went away really, really quick before I could read it. Marwin thought she was very mean, and Arburns Wallace had a comment too that went away really fast. You guys, I'm so sorry. I that I'm not as quick at reading, but it sounds like based on what I like quick gleaned is that they've also had experiences where people
Yeah.
like Sam wrote something about like in a hallway like having trouble. So it sounds like a lot of people probably have experienced that. And Arburns Wallace said that he was, I think you wrote that you were nearsighted, but again, I might
Okay.
have read that wrong.
Sorry, guys. If you want, if I know it's difficult, if you want, stick it back in the comments and Corey can read it again.
Yeah, I'll read it. If you guys
Sorry
want to
about
throw
that.
it back in, I'll read it right away really fast because I feel bad because we really want to interact.
Yeah.
This is one of the challenges of low vision. Although I don't have low vision. I'm
It's also a small screen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know, slow reader maybe. I don't know.
So, do you think there's anything else about high school that I should?
I kind of feel like I feel like there's nothing else from your high school that I can think of. I feel like you kind of covered it.
And again, my high school and middle school experience was pretty normal. Pretty normal. Like I said, my vision was pretty good until I was early 20s at least. And I graduated high school when I was 18. So,
And like you could still drive.
I could still drive. Yeah. That was another disaster. I should make another video about driving. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't. But yeah, so as for college, I was a non-traditional student. I actually went to college. I went to two different schools. So I first went to college and studied health and exercise science. And I did that maybe when I was like, I think I took maybe a year off just to work because I had no idea what I wanted to do. So then I went to that school, graduated from there a few years later, and then after working in the field for about a year, I went back to school again at a university, and I started there when I was 20, I think I was 23, maybe 24 when I started school there. So I was a non-traditional student. So my vision was definitely different then versus what it was in high school and all through middle school.
And did you let that school know that you were low vision?
I did.
Okay.
I did. So at that point, I had come to, I accepted it a little bit more than I did in high school because in high school, I didn't think anything was, all that wrong. But by the time I was 23, 24, and I was going to the university, yes, I went into the, what do they call it? Like the disability office? I don't even think they call it that anymore. I don't know. It's some kind of office there. I think it was maybe the disability office. But anyway, I talked with them and told them that I would be coming in occasionally. So the nice thing about college was anytime that I had exams, so typically the classes were 50 minutes. So you'd be, I would have 50 minutes to do an exam. Well, for the speed that I was reading at the time was incredibly slow because my visual field was so small that I would need more time. So I took all of my tests in this disability office, and I actually got twice as much time. So I got, what was it, like an hour? And I think I got double time. So I basically got 2 hours. Yeah, so I basically got 2 hours to complete my
Arborn's Wallace. I
test.
was born sighted, but was short sighted with glasses, lost eyesight just over a year. And then you had that attack that made you lose your vision more.
Okay.
And then Sam wrote, and I wrote this comment down, that he was bullied in high school.
That's tough.
It's really tough.
Yeah.
You know, I am not a fan of bullies.
No.
It's so mean.
Mm-hmm.
We could make a video about bullying.
We should.
Because I'm really, I mean, obviously I married somebody with low vision. I'm not like a hater.
Yeah.
I just, Sam wrote, oh my God, you drove. I wanted to drive so bad, but I never got the chance. They told me I couldn't right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you probably honestly, I think you probably sneaked through the cracks on that one. It was probably very unsafe.
My vision was like borderline. I probably shouldn't have been driving. But
Sabrina wrote, also sad, I see so many kids who are so ill only because of bully. Then there's like kids in the news with like in suicide and it's such a big issue.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But yeah, you probably shouldn't have been driving.
Shouldn't have been driving, but I did for a few years. And at the age of 18, everybody wants to drive. Everybody wants their freedom. We're finally an adult. We're finally out of high school. We have some freedom. Parents can't tell us what to do anymore. Yeah. No, they can.
They can. They do.
My parents still tell me what to do sometimes.
Mine too.
Yeah.
And sometimes my parents tell you what to do and yours tell me what to do.
Yeah,
because they love us.
Yeah. So, yeah, college, I took all of my exams in the disability office. I got twice as much time, which was actually very helpful for me. It allowed me to take my exams without, feeling rushed in the classroom. So again, walking around a university campus with like 16,000, I think, undergrads that were there, it got very congested for me. Again, anytime I was walking outside between buildings, I would always wear sunglasses, something I never did before, but I did that so that when I walked into the building, my eyes were already maybe halfway adjusted, and that maybe I could just step off to the side for a minute and then I'd be fine. I could see enough to maybe navigate. But there were definitely instances where I would walk into people or kids would be sitting on the floor and I wouldn't see them and I'd trip on their legs because, they have their legs out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's what as far as in the classroom, again, seeing anything on like a PowerPoint or written on the board, I was basically just lost. I was at the point then that I couldn't see that stuff very well or at all anymore. So I would say college was a little bit more of a difficult experience for me in the classroom. So.
You had that guy, though, who helped you, and wasn't he blind?
I did. So
at the university?
Yeah. So like the director of the disability office, he was actually blind. So he, we talked occasionally, and he was a pretty cool guy. And he gave me some
Marwan said, I get bullied a lot, and I hated school, but in January I'm back to community college.
Really?
Excellent.
Very
We're
cool,
so proud of you, Marwan. And then Blue Tech said, knowing that I was legally blind, there were idiots. They would purposely trip me in the cafeteria and throw obstacles in my way.
Wow. I mean, that's
like those people,
that's
honestly.
really bad.
What in the heck is wrong with them?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of person does that to somebody who they know is blind? I mean, that's sick. It's sick. Mm-hmm. It like really breaks your heart.
Yeah. That's really sad.
But you know what? Actually, this is the part that bugs me more than the person who did that, mm-hmm. is what in the heck is with all the people who just sat by and didn't do anything? There should have been a mob fight against that person who did that. Don't you think? I mean, kids are so stupid, and most people don't speak up. Mm-hmm. But the people who were doing those things, they should have. I mean, other people should have spoken up and mm-hmm. just beat the heck out of that person. I'm not into fighting, but I mean, honestly, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Don't you think, Matt?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, that's just really bad.
It's just the bully thing is so frustrating. Mm-hmm. But Marwan, and you're going back to school, I wouldn't worry about bullying because you're a good guy, and I don't think you're going to get picked on because you've got all of us here to support you.
Definitely. Yeah. Everyone will love you, Marwan.
Yeah. How would shops help you if you were to go shopping on your own without a long cane? And Blue Tech wrote something about driver's education that went away. I think there's a way for me to see these comments better, that they don't go away as fast. And Marlon said, thanks, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have us. And
Yeah.
I'm excited. What are you going to college for is my question. Like, what are you going to study? So that's my question to you.
Yeah.
So, Matt, you can keep going.
So I think I covered a lot of it. Is there anything else that I've told you over the years that?
I don't really think there's anything specifically else that I can think of. Just kind of, Matt was, I guess you were low vision in middle school and high school, and even sort of in your first college that you went to, but really you were legally blind after that.
Yeah.
But it's not, but like now if you went to college, it would be a much different experience because you're really blind.
A very, very different experience now.
Because you really couldn't
even at the university that I attended, I was still able to read my textbooks and read the exams. I was still able to read those. So like, 11 point to 12 point font, I was still able to see that, but my reading speed was very slow. So yeah, it would take me hours and hours to read a chapter in a book. So, one other thing that stands out to me that I didn't experience this in high school or the first school that I went to, but in the university that I attended, I experienced this, and it is facial recognition. So when I lived in the dorms the first 2 years that I was there, and I met a lot of kids that my roommate and a lot of the guys on my floor and just a lot of the people in the dorm. I met a lot of them, and they were pretty cool guys, and I would see them, around the dorm here and there. But when we were out on campus walking around, and, typically I'd be walking by myself. But if I ever passed somebody, I never saw these people. Like I never saw these faces. So then later in the evening, when I would see these guys around the dorm, they'd come up to me and be like, "Hey, why are you too cool to talk to me?" Or they'd say some mean comment like, "Hey, I said hi to you today walking by, outside of the building. Why didn't you say anything to me?" Or like my roommate one time, he walked into the cafeteria and we literally passed each other through the door and I didn't see him. And I don't know, I think he said hi, or maybe he made a motion or a gesture or something and I didn't see it. Well, then later in the night when we were sitting in our room together, it was really bothering him and he brought it up and asked, like, "Did you not see me?" Or he asked why I didn't say anything to him. He said, "Are you mad at me?" And, I had to explain that I didn't see him. And eventually over the course of, maybe the whole school year, a lot of the guys that I initially started to hang out with and talk to at the beginning of the year kind of faded away and I didn't talk to anymore simply because they thought I was too cool to talk to them because I never said hi walking around campus. And it wasn't that I was too cool or stuck up or anything. It's just I literally didn't see them. So that was kind of hard to go from having a whole bunch of friends and a big group of kids that I hung around with to basically having like 2 people by the end of the school year, halfway through even.
Well, I think it's really hard from like a sighted person's perspective. Blue Chip said the driver's education instructor wanted a written release from my eye doctor in order to be able to take the test, but the doctor wouldn't sign it because he felt it was too dangerous to drive.
Yeah.
That makes sense, and honestly, it's probably a good idea to have a release like that, even though it sort of puts a damper on being able to drive. You have been a very big inspiration to, and you cheer me up so much. Our Wallace said that.
Thank you.
That's so
Thanks, Richard.
nice.
That's so nice.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
That's
very
really
cool.
kind.
Yeah, that's so cool. What else were you going to say?
Well, what I was going to say is that just like from a sighted person's perspective, and probably from everyone's perspective or not, is it's confusing if you can walk around the campus and take college classes.
Yeah.
Like, why can't you see me?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just really hard to understand.
Yeah.
And I think it's also hard to understand too because you were at a point in your life where it was really hard for you to probably talk about it.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to sit down with the guys and be like, "Actually, I have a really poor field of vision.
Yeah,
Let
never.
me show you like what I can see." You would never have done that.
No.
And you know what? Too bad you didn't, because you should have and you could have. But of course, I mean, geez, it's like hard enough to like make friends without having to tell them all your life story.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know. And back
Yeah.
then too, you couldn't just be like, "Hey, here's a YouTube video about it." You know, like
No.
now, honestly, you can say, "Okay, well, I mean, we use YouTube, like we use the internet all the time, but now it's like so easy to like pull up something on the internet. Like before I met Matt, I like Googled stuff about RP because I didn't understand kind of what he had.
Yeah.
And so before we went out for the first time, I like did a bunch of research so I understood somewhat.
Yeah.
Of course, you don't really understand until you get to know the person, but I think now it's so much easier. I don't know. Maybe it's not easier.
Yeah.
But at least there's resources, and back then there
Exactly.
really wasn't. You probably didn't even know how to find other people with RP.
No. Up
'Cause there
until
wasn't
about a
Facebook
year
groups,
ago,
probably.
I'm just throwing a year out there. Up until about a year ago, I don't think I had ever even met or spoken to anyone with RP.
Probably
I
less
was
than
like,
the
oh,
YouTube channel.
yeah.
Probably less than 7.5 months ago. I was actually, one of the things I was going to do is I was interested to see who the first person who commented ever on your channel was. Like who
Yeah.
the first person we ever like made contact was. I don't know who,
Hmm.
but I think it's somebody we still talk to.
Yeah.
We've talked to a few people for a long time, but I just thought that might be kind of like an interesting little fact.
Right. Yeah.
So, does anyone have any questions or comments? It's been really fun to like hear from you guys. So we want to hear from you about your experiences, about anything that anything. The other day when we did a live stream, somebody asked about putting toothpaste on. Blue Tech said, "I've had many occurrences night where people thought I was just being rude or stuck up."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Blue Tech. Marwan said, "Blue Tech. Honestly, it's better not to drive because the experience. I had a car accident, so I don't want to hurt someone. You don't want to hurt like an animal or something when they want to cross the street."
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because Marwan, I think, recently stopped driving. It's a hard transition.
It really
can't
is.
speak to it, but Matt can.
Yeah.
I'm being rude. I can't speak to it, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it's hard.
Yeah, definitely a hard transition, and it's definitely very difficult to accept. Even when I stopped driving.
Blue Check said, "What I tell people is next time you see me, you come up to me and you let me know who you are." Matt's really been a lot better at that. And Rage Wrench, hey Matt and Corey,
Andrew.
good to see you guys. I've been watching for a little while, but I don't want to interrupt you guys. Just listening to what's going on. Sabrina
Nice.
wrote, "I'm so glad that you have the YouTube channel," and a couple other words that I couldn't read fast enough. So this is awesome. Yay!
Very cool. Thank you, everyone.
Andrew's here too. The gang's all here.
Right.
This is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad we did it at this time of night. We're going to do live streams at different times of the day kind of and figure out kind of what works best for people. I mean, the thing is like we can do live streams later than this too.
Yeah.
We're just trying to figure it out what
Right.
works
Yeah, so this is our
best.
third live stream. We're trying to figure out a day and time that is best for everyone. So we started this one at 10 p.m. here in Minnesota. We can definitely do later, but we just wanted to figure out, what's the best time for everybody or the majority of people anyway. So anyway, this seems like a pretty good time so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a pretty good turnout, so we're happy about that.
Yeah, because I think initially we had talked about doing like once, I'm throwing it out of, Arbens Wallace said, how would shops help you in the U.S. when you're going shopping on your own with a cane? Actually, that's interesting. You should speak to that.
So, Arburns Wallace, so I haven't done it yet, but I will be at some point. Honestly, I'm a little bit nervous to do it, but I actually will do it here at some point. I just need to basically just go in and do it. But some of the stores here, like for example, if you've heard of Target, I don't think Target is in the UK, but Target is a pretty big retailer around here.
They sell like groceries,
pretty much everything. Yeah.
Clothes.
Yeah, so they sell a lot of different items, and a lot of the grocery stores around here too will do the same thing, and they have an assistant. So basically, you just walk into like the service desk and then say, "Hey, I'm blind. Can I have somebody help me?" And they will literally grab somebody off the floor, one of their employees, and they will walk around the entire store to fulfill your entire shopping list. And I've asked them, how long do I get with this person? And they've always said, you can get as long as you want, as much time as you need to shop. So like I said, I've never done it, but I've talked to the people at the service desk about it, just inquiring about it, and I was just wondering how it works. So I'll do it. I'll do it one of these days, and hopefully I can bring a camera with me and record some of the experience. So definitely stay tuned for that video. I'll get it up here at some point.
I'm going to wait in the car.
Corey will
I'm going to wait in the car.
She's going to walk me in and get me started, and then I will definitely have my phone with me so that if I need to panic and call her to come and get me.
I'm just going to wait in the car. I'll be nervous and excited.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for you to do that.
Yeah. So Richard, I think you mentioned in one of your comments a while ago, I think you guys have that there in the UK as well. Is that accurate?
Marwan's encouraging you to do it, Matt.
Yeah.
He's egging you on.
Thanks, Marwan.
If Marwan could go to college, you can totally go to the grocery store alone. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a big adventure.
Yeah.
So
also, if you're interested, we started a Facebook group and page. So there's 2 of them on Facebook there. If you're interested in checking those out, it's the same name as the channel here, Blind to Billionaire. You can find those on Facebook. Otherwise, we're also on Instagram, the same name, Blind to Billionaire on Instagram. So yeah, we're just kind of expanding onto some different platforms.
Yeah. You thought we'd give it a try?
Yeah.
Seems like it's a good idea.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, should probably wrap this up
Yeah,
soon.
we probably should wrap this up. Everybody probably wants to either go back to bed or go to bed.
Well, thank you so much to all of you for joining us all over the place. I know it's early for Sabrina and Richard. It's so cool that you guys are here. Very cool.
Actually, Andrew's encouraging me not to wait in the car, but to go shopping for clothes and shoes. Andrew, you're a man of my own heart. And Sabrina said now it's 5:30 in the morning here, so I go to sleep in a few minutes because we're plus or minus a certain number of hours. Hey, Carly, don't worry. I can't read all. Hey, Corey, I can't read all the comments either. They're going way too fast. So that's another, actually, you know what? That's another reason why me reading the comments is probably important in a low vision community, because as I am, the comments aren't on long. Some of you may or may not be able to read either. And Blue Text using voice over recognition. Some of the words, don't come out right. It totally doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Arbens Wallace said that's very good because I get assisted shop here and he lives on his own and he does shopping. And he said it's a challenge and an adventure, Matt.
Yeah, very cool.
It would be an adventure. And you know what? I know you'd leave it feeling like, I think you'd feel it like just like feeling invigorated.
But Richard, based on your channel, it looks like you like a nice adventure. So it looks like you're out exploring all the time. So
yeah, you guys should check out Arbens Wallace. I think it's 2226. I might be, if he writes again, I'll be able to read it to you. He does a lot of stuff on Instagram, and he explores old buildings and things such as that. Yeah. Yes, please more live streams. I really enjoy your company. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
I've got to get off here. I've got a video recording to finish. Awesome, Andrew.
Very cool.
We're excited to watch more of your videos too. It's been really fun to get to know all of you guys. This live stream is awesome.
Very cool. Sam, by the way, we checked out iPhones last night, so we were just talking about those in the comments a couple days ago.
Yep. So. One step closer. Marwan said, thank you, Matt and Corey. Because of you, I get a lot of support. You give me a lot of courage and to be more open about RP and challenge it. And Sabrina said that happens with texting my husband it can be kind of a struggle. So
yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much to all of you. We really appreciate it. Just really cool to have everybody here.
Yeah.
Really cool.
This has been fun.
Yeah.
Have a good night, you guys, or a good morning, or a good day.
Thank you. Have a great day. Nice weekend. We'll talk to all of you again soon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you later.